Greetings and welcome to this episode of Everybody's Business, a podcast for the National Entrepreneur Center. And I'm your host, Jerry Ross. I'm with the lovely and talented Rachel Matson here in the studio.
Thank you, Jerry.
Great to have you here and see your smiling face this morning.
It's great to be here. I've had my coffee.
That's good. Me too. I'm working on mine, and I'm not great before coffee.
No, there's a definite mood change.
But that assumes that I'm great after coffee, and so maybe several cups of coffee it would take. I want to talk about leadership today.
Okay.
Leadership is one of those things that we throw around the term and we talk about what makes a good leader, and we've had leaders in our life. It starts out with our parents, our leaders. Mm-hmm. Sometimes our teachers become our leaders. Sometimes we ourselves become the line leaders, like in first grade. I always wanted to be the line leader. And so I think that was probably telling about my career. But leaders in our life have a huge impact. And sometimes as a leader, you don't even realize that. But I think leadership is one of those skills that has to be worked at. And so there are lots of books on what makes a good leader, but I think every person within themselves has the ability to lead and to provide an example for someone in their life, whether that's a child, whether it's a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, however you want to do that. People do have an impact, whether it's personal in their personal life or in the work life. And so, what do you think makes a good leader?
I think just what you touched on it. I mean, being able to show by example, I think is really important. So that kind of helps people also. I'm a visual learner. So I think seeing people do things, practice what they preach kind of thing. I mean, right. I think that's really important.
And I think there's an ability to call out someone's skills and talents out of them when many times they may not even see them themselves.
Oh yeah, it gives them encouragement to do it even more.
I think integrity and transparency all are things that make up a leader. But leadership is so vital that without leadership, there's chaos. And so as I was thinking about that on the way in of the National Entrepreneur Center, we have 14 organizations here, and each one of them have a dynamic leader that is leading them toward the vision of that organization. We have a board that's made up of our community funders, and those are community leaders that have set a vision for what we want to be as a community. And so having good leaders in position, I think is critical to accomplishing those dreams and visions that you have.
No, 100%. It organizes us all.
It does. And it's an example. It's sometimes you learn how to be a leader by having good leaders in your life. And
100%.
I have been blessed to have some great leaders that I've learned from, whether it was, first of all, with my mom and my dad, who my mom was the field general.
No, I bet 11 kids,
and she could make it happen. And so I think it starts out, you imitate those leaders that you want to become. At the Bell System, at the software company that I worked at, I had great leadership that helped inspire me and call things out of me that I didn't see, but also led me on the path of being a learner, to learn how to be a good leader. And that's an ongoing process for all of us. And so thank you for the leadership that you provide here to the National Entrepreneur Center and the clients that visit us.
No problem, Jerry. I'm always here.
Okay. I'm glad you are. So tell me, who are we speaking with today?
So today we're with Kellie Parkin. She's the CEO of the Pride Chamber of Commerce.
And a great partner here at the National Entrepreneur Center. They're one of our latest additions here.
She is.
And it's been a great partnership that I look forward to our conversation with her as she brings a lot to the table. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
The National Entrepreneur Center in Orlando, Florida has been around since 2003 and today is home to 14 business support organizations who have a single mission: to help you grow your business. Through free business coaching, low-cost training, and valuable business connections, these 14 business support organizations assist thousands of entrepreneurs each year in starting, growing, and scaling their businesses. So why not visit the website at nationalec.org today, or give us a call at 407 420-4848 to discover how you might take your business to the next level. And by the way, the National Entrepreneur Center is funded entirely through local sponsors, which include Walt Disney World Resort, the University of Central Florida, the City of Orlando, and Orange County government, just to name a few. So let's get connected today and get growing. Check out our website at nationalec.org.
Greetings and welcome to this episode of Everybody's Business, a podcast from the National Entrepreneur Center. I'm Jerry Ross, your host, and also the ringmaster here at the National Entrepreneur Center. Thanks for joining us today, and you are going to have a great time because our guest today is Kellie Parkin. Kellie is the Pride Chamber's Chief Executive Officer here in Orlando. She is a leader of Central Florida's LGBTQ economic equality movement. She is an award-winning photographer and writer, as well as a lifelong learner. Just some of her recent recognitions include Business Equality Network's National Top 40 LGBTQ Leaders Under 40, Watermark's Most Remarkable People. She received the Chamber Leader of the Year Award by the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Under her transformative leadership, the Pride Chamber of Orlando was honored as Chamber of the Year. Most recently, Kellie was honored during the 2020 Pride Month by U.S. Congressman Darren Soto as a distinguished leader in Central Florida. Kellie has also spearheaded the effort that led the City of Orlando and Orange County government to be the first in Florida to embrace and recognize LGBT businesses in their procurement processes. She serves on Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer's Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, and in the wake of the Pulse tragedy here in Orlando, she served on the task force to formally establish the One Orlando Alliance, a coalition of nonprofits unifying Central Florida's LGBTQ plus community. Kellie, thank you so much for what you do in our community, but also thank you for making time to join us today here on Everybody's Business. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Jerry. Happy to be here.
It's great to see you again. With COVID, we've been, separated for so long, but it's great to just connect with you, even if it is through Zoom.
Right. Yeah, it is. So, I get very excited when I see people face to face, even if it's on Zoom, because it feels like it's just not enough.
Exactly. I get up in the morning when we're doing these interviews and say, "Oh my gosh, I get to meet people again today." It's so great. Tell me about your work currently, what you're doing at the Pride Chamber, and tell me a little bit about how long you've been doing that and what that takes.
All right. Well, we are Central Florida's LGBT and Ally Business Association. So our membership is made up of LGBT business owners, ally business owners, professionals, nonprofits, governments, and our corporate partners. I've been in this role for about 4.5 years, I think. Our organization, though, has been around for almost 30 years. Next year, we'll celebrate our 30th birthday. We're excited about that.
Since 1991 here in Orlando?
It was 92, so next year we'll celebrate.
92, gotcha.
Yep, so June of 92 is, and it's interesting, we started as I would say I don't want to say clandestine's not the right word. I want to, we were
under the radar.
It was a very under the radar group of LGBT business owners that came together looking for support and to share in, that situations that only others like them could understand and appreciate and help each other through it. So we were aptly named Metropolitan Business Association. So nobody knew what it meant, that it was the LGBT community coming together. And that's what some of your listeners may know us by. For short, we went by MBA Orlando.
Right.
And a couple years ago, we decided it was finally time to come out of the closet and show that we are proud to be LGBT businesses and LGBT allies. And so we changed our name to the Pride Chamber.
Well, and the Central Florida community has always been very inclusive, and yet in the business community, sometimes, as I've worked with the MBA group long before it became the Pride Chamber, that it was very active and very involved here in Central Florida, long before many communities had even embraced that idea.
Yes. Yeah. So we work with a lot of our fellow chambers and like-minded organizations, those who are looking for equality, and because the LGBT community is made up of so many other diverse communities, we really try to focus not just on LGBT issues, but all diverse issues, and really try to push for full inclusion and equity.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
so that really makes it meaningful work for me. And we do a lot of work in supplier diversity, which is making sure that not just large corporations, but all businesses are using diverse suppliers in their vendor network.
well, and with diversity, equity, inclusion being so much a part of the conversation today, uh, we've hosted some of the community conversations on that. There are a lot of people that aren't aware of all of those issues that are involved in being truly a diverse and inclusive organization. But that's something that you guys have been doing for a long time.
Well, yes, and what I like to tell folks on that is that a lot of people call themselves an ally, but really allyship is a verb, and so it takes action. You have to be. You can be a as an individual you can be an ally, and as a company you can be an ally, and that means making sure that you are actively doing things to help the communities that you call yourself an ally to.
And so I've seen an increase over the last few years of the conversation. Are you seeing true action taking place to go along with that conversation, like you just said?
I think so. Again, I mentioned supplier diversity. I see that a lot where folks will call and say, "Look, I really want to make sure that I'm using diverse suppliers. So I have some printing needs. Do you have an LGBT owned business that can help me with that?" The other day I had someone call who's not a member, but looking at it, and they are just starting their diversity and inclusion programming. And she said, "We really want to make sure that our products and our marketing or how they use their products, she wants to make sure that that she's inclusive to the LGBT community and showing that that it's important without making it look like it's she's checking a box
Or pandering?
Yeah, so and I said, well, you're on the right track. You've made the first move of reaching out to an LGBT organization to ask about it. So that's, you clearly your heart's in the right spot, and you care. So yeah, I do. I see it all the time.
And sometimes it starts with awareness.
Absolutely.
And saying, I just wasn't aware, or how do I become more aware, and taking action, not just talking about it. So what drew you to this line of work?
I was looking for a way to utilize all of these skills. I have a lot of random skills and experience that I've collected over the years, and I really wanted something fulfilling to apply that to. And so this is perfect for me.
Well, as a leader of a chamber, you've got to wear a lot of hats.
You really do. And it's, no day is ever the same. You have so many different things that you're working on, but you're also working with all these different businesses in different industries, and they're doing different things, and they have different needs. And so it really helps to have that eclectic background.
That's right. And I would call that the entrepreneurial background.
Absolutely.
As I went through school, I was saying, I'm good at a lot of things, and it's hard to just pick one. And they would say, oh, well, business, you're a business major, or how to talk, unfortunately. So you're a speech major. And I would say, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to have a lot of those different skills to be able to run an organization. And yet, in my time, way back when we walked to school both ways uphill in the snow.
That was me.
There wasn't that embracement of an entrepreneur. They just didn't have that category. And so I think as education has grown, much like awareness, we're creating new categories of diversity and inclusion and equity that shows that we are in the process of evolving and becoming those lifelong learners that we are. What do you enjoy the most about what you do?
Hands down, it's helping, making a difference. I know that I'm a bit of an idealist. So
No.
but it is really, it's just fulfilling to know that I've helped someone, either helped them in their business or just helped them thrive in their daily lives. And it makes it all worth it and keeps me going.
Sure. So you don't have to be a part of the LGBT community to become a member of the Pride Chamber, do you?
Not at all. Not at all. You just have to believe or appreciate diversity, inclusion. You have to embrace that, the idea that we all should have the same rights, the same human rights, the same access and opportunities.
So Kellie, how would someone reach out and connect with you?
They can reach out on our website, check us out, and learn all about us at thepridechamber.org, or email me. I could be reached at info@thepridechamber.org.
And we have listeners from all over the country, and I understand you're connected with a national group as well.
Absolutely. So our National LGBT Chamber of Commerce they're actually international. So anywhere around the world, you can get connected. So you can find out all of the affiliates listed there at nglcc.org.
And so wherever you are, nglcc.org, you can find out who the organizations are with you locally. And as always, we talk about those support organizations for small business, the Small Business Development Center. There is one near you. Go online, Google that, try to find it. There are SCORE chapters all over the country that are there as volunteers for free, willing to help you with your business. So Kellie, you're not off the hook yet. We're going to come back and talk more with Kellie Parkin, the president of the Pride Chamber in Orlando. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Jerry Ross coming to you from the National Entrepreneur Center. I'm coming to you from my home office because our staff as well is working remotely. But we're working remotely to serve the small businesses in Central Florida. If you have a need, if you want to get connected, there are many ways to do that with the National Entrepreneur Center. So we are still answering your calls. We are still answering your email. In fact, we've been pretty busy these last few months, even working remotely to launch the new online learning platform in partnership with the Lonely Entrepreneur out of New York City, who had about 300 learning modules of content readily available. And we've made a partnership to make that available to you for free while you're working remote. So while you may be home working alone, you don't have to be alone, because the National Entrepreneur Center and our 14 resident organizations have one mission, and that's to help you grow your business. Welcome back. You're listening to Everybody's Business, a podcast from the National Entrepreneur Center. Today, we're speaking with Kellie Parkin, who is the CEO of the Orlando Pride Chamber. So, Kellie, thank you for your work in the community. Thank you for your background on the Pride Chamber. So now let's get down to some of the entrepreneurial nuts and bolts here. What kind of businesses are as part of the chamber? What kind of businesses are you helping at the chamber? And are you seeing any kind of what kind of help that you give that seems to be the norm that people are looking for?
Well, our membership is made up of all kinds of businesses. We have hospitality, we have business services, everything in between.
You name it.
It really is a broad collection of industries that we serve. I would say that about 65% of our membership is small business, really small business. So that is a big focus of ours. We have about, a little less than 10% of nonprofits. And then, of course, our corporate partners and everything. I find, especially during this past year, our biggest, the main thing that we're doing is being a resource. We are connecting people with the resources that they need. So you mentioned SCORE. With the SBDC, we make sure if they need funding. I had a member call me or reach out back during the first round of PPP and said, can you help? We have tried. We can't get it with our bank because they're turning people away. And, everybody remembers how chaotic that first round was.
It was, and it was not easy to navigate.
It really wasn't. And on both sides, on the bank side and on the small business side, everybody was really struggling with that. And so I was able to, just simple, I was just able to make a connection with a real person at a real place that provided funding or, that could provide that, help them through that process. And it worked. They were able to get what they needed. And they really feel like it's, they needed that to keep their business going. And so those are the kind of things that we're spending a lot of time doing right now.
And we've seen that in the last year as well. And you being a partner here at the National Entrepreneur Center, all of our partners became that gatherer of information so that we could have one place on our website to say, here's where you can get the latest information, because there was a lot of bad information out there. And I know people like to get mad at the banks, but the banks can't loan until they get the regulations and requirements. And so they were waiting on, the rules of the road. And at the same time, entrepreneurs are very early adopters. And so they were knocking on the doors of the bank. And so it was really a difficult time for everyone. It was very frustrating. And yet, as a resource provider, as a information provider, you need to have those along the way to say, that's not what I do. I need someone to help. And you were there to do that. We saw a lot of that here as well. What advice would you give someone that's either starting a business right now or someone that's running a business as we start to see the end of, hopefully, the pandemic and people are starting to get their vaccinations and moving forward? What kind of advice would you offer them today?
I think that one of the most important things that they can do as a business owner or a future business owner is to connect. So we hear a lot about networking, and people think, or I guess the old traditional impression of networking is standing around handing out business cards, right? Or sending out mass emails to connect with people. And that is not what I mean. Because that's not going to help anybody. But I really encourage people to connect with others who are doing what you do or doing what you want to do. It is so networking and connecting, engaging with others. It's so important to learn from each other, to help each other out, and just surround yourself with people who have been there. I think that is that's going to really help you. And I like to talk a lot too about networking and how to relationship build, and you learn that by engaging with your local chamber or engaging with SCORE or so many other opportunities there. We have a program at the Pride Chamber that it's a leads group. It's like your B&I or something like that. But our focus really is, we want you to come to the table and treat it as, look at things as if, how can you help the others there? And we don't want you to show up and say, this is what I need from you. We want you to show up and say, how can I help you? What do you need? And taking that different approach, whether you want to call it altruism or whatever, but just it ends up coming back to you, and it really helps you build those relationships, and that's what's going to help everybody.
Well, I love that, and I believe that, and I've practiced that, because I feel like you can make a sale, and that's one time. When you make a relationship, it can pay you for a lifetime, and so a lot of people. By making that contact, like you said earlier, it's not just the activity, it's of networking. It's really the accomplishment of creating that contact, that relationship, that you can help each other. And again, we talk many times about entrepreneurship not being a solo sport. It's a team sport.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing this pandemic has done is showed us all every one of our needs for that connection. And while I can't imagine going through this without the technology that we have today, to be able to Zoom and WebEx and all of those technology advances that have allowed us to weather this. I can't imagine going through this without that because of that relationship and connection piece. Is there a piece of business advice that you received personally that made a difference in you as a business or as in running a business?
Well, I think kind of along the lines of fake it till you make it. I and I don't even remember where I heard this, but act like you belong because you do. And with that, act like you belong because then others will assume you do. And so as you're entering into a new place, with whether you're working on networking or you're approaching another business or maybe a corporation that you want to contract with, you act like you belong there, and then everything sort of falls into place. And that has really helped me because I mentioned this last night actually to my board that I want sometimes. I struggle just a little bit with imposter syndrome, and it's that same idea of I do belong here and I know that, but sometimes, I think, well, am I doing enough? And do I belong here? And the answer is yes, you do too. And, just act like it until you get there.
That is great advice. Because if you act like you don't belong in that boardroom or making that sales presentation, then people are going to see that and they'll start to question you because no one questions us more than ourselves. And we're hardest on ourselves. And so sometimes we have to talk about that. I had a football coach one time that was talking about all of the end zone celebrations in football when someone scores a touchdown. And he said, we're not going to do that on this team because you act like you're surprised you're there. Every play we draw up could be a touchdown if everybody did their job. So it's no surprise we scored. Don't act so surprised.
I'm picturing how I watching the Super Bowl recently and how some of them did act very surprised when they got to the end zone.
And so it's not a surprise that we scored. And so it's not a surprise that you're there giving a sales presentation, or it's not a surprise that you're there sticking up for your business or your community. And that's one thing that I've always admired about you. From the day we met, you walked in and said, here's what I'd like to do and how am I going to get there? And I was part of your team from the beginning to say, I want to be where she's going. And so we appreciate what your vision was and how you're getting us there as a community. Hold on to those thoughts. We're going to be right back right after these messages.
The National Entrepreneur Center has made it easy for you to learn business principles from anywhere at any time with NEC Online. As a supplement to all the great resources at the National Entrepreneur Center, you now have free access to over 300 learning modules that you can access at any time. Thanks to the generous sponsorship of Wells Fargo and our partnership with The Lonely Entrepreneur, you can access this powerful online learning platform for free. Learn on your own time and at your own pace. Access product reviews and participate in weekly group coaching opportunities. Right now, the only thing missing is you. So check out our online learning platform today at nationalec.org. That's nationalec.org. Did I mention it's free?
Welcome back. You're listening to Everybody's Business, a podcast from the National Entrepreneur Center. We'd like to thank our sponsor, State Farm Insurance. This podcast would not happen without their generous support. I'd also like to thank the people behind the camera, which include the entire staff of the National Entrepreneur Center that keep the trains running on time and keep me here. But also Kevin Ross, our producer, Christian Petkoff, our sound and video engineer, and Rachel Madsen, the lovely and talented Rachel Madsen, who is my sidekick. Today in the studio, we're talking with Kellie Parkin, who is the CEO of the Pride Chamber in Orlando. Enjoying our time together. Kellie, overall, what's your outlook for the future of small businesses, not only just here in Florida, but all over?
Well, I'm optimistic. For the moment, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think as time goes on, it's things are going to be good. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take us to get there. So I think that we've learned a lot this past year. We've all had to be, we talk a lot about pivoting But just we've had to learn how to be adaptable and learn how to be flexible, really. And I think that as long as we learn long term, we learn from that, we take what we've learned and apply it long term, I think that things are going to be great. I think that as business owners and employers, we'll need to continue to explore ways to be more flexible and more accommodating. That's for our employees, for delivering our goods and services, and in our marketing and our outreach. I think that as long as we continue to do that, things are going to be good.
And I think it forced us to reevaluate the businesses and say, what are the pieces of business that we haven't been able to do or found that we didn't really need to do in an emergency. I think we found, like you said, taking care of our employees is the priority. The safety and health of our employees are crucial. And I think if we do take some of those lessons that we've learned, and overall the embrace of technology, we've had this technology for a long time, and yet the marketplace sometimes was saying, "Yeah, I'd really just rather meet face to face." And I think now, because we've been forced to, people are saying, "Hey, there are some benefits to the technology." Here at the National Entrepreneur Center, it allowed us to go way beyond these walls. That people didn't have to come here to get help. They could go online to our online learning platform. They've been listening to our podcast. They've been connecting with our resource partners online. And we've been helping people that geographically could have never made it to our center.
Yes. And that's the same for us. So there are 5 chambers, LGBT affiliate chambers in Florida, but we're the northernmost one. So we have members in the Panhandle, in Gainesville, Jacksonville, and they've been members really just more in spirit up until this past year, because they haven't been able to, unless they were in town for something, haven't been able to attend any of our functions until now. We're networking online. And then we even get some guests from other states, and it's really has definitely broadened our reach. And
it's kind of opened a new world. And for the folks that aren't familiar with Florida, you can drive 8 hours from Pensacola just to get to Orlando, and you're still not to Miami yet. And so it's a big state, and the technology has allowed us to shrink that geography in a way that we can get information to folks. Do you think it's easier today or harder today to start a small business?
As opposed to a year ago, or just any time?
Let's say a year ago.
I think it might be, it depends. Some things might be a little bit easier, but for the most part, I would say that there's a little more, a few more obstacles, because, we still shouldn't be out and about unless necessary.
Right.
And so there's so much involved in starting a business, and I wouldn't say it's too difficult, and certainly not impossible, but I think there are some obstacles now that there weren't a year ago.
And there's an obstacle of, it's really hard to show when I got a mask on my face.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's really hard to even go to the grocery store when I'm saying, "Excuse me, what was it you want me to do? Put my card in again? Okay." And so just communication has been a little harder.
We got a takeout the other day, and I said, "Thank you." I think I said, "Hey, thank you so much." And when I took the food, and she looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, what did you say? What do you need?" I was like, no, I'm just saying thank you. So yes, it's very
There are certain challenges that have occurred that make it a little more difficult. Was there anyone that helped you along the way where you said, "I just don't know how to do this," or I don't know that I'm going to make it"? Was there any one person in business that kind of gave you the hand up when you needed it?
In business.
Yeah.
There have been so many people. I would not be where I am today without the people along the way. It's hard to pick just one. I
know the feeling.
I do have an interesting, if we were to just talk about life in general.
Sure.
So it's a funny one actually, but my ex-husband So we were together for 10 years. His name's Warren. We've been divorced now for 10 years. And he is still my biggest fan, which is just crazy. But to have someone in your life who says, or who encourages you to be the very best you, to be authentic, that, to support you in every way along your journey, it made such a huge difference in my life. So I can. There are lots of people who have helped shape me, but he really stands out as I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be as comfortable in my skin if I hadn't had that, that space to be myself and to grow. So
right. Well, you're lucky. You're blessed to have someone in your life. And so we've talked several times about entrepreneurship. Sometimes can be a really lonely business. You're there. You've got challenges and issues, and then you add on top of that COVID-19, a pandemic, a global shutdown. And so, as I've said before, especially during this time, you can't be alone. You've got to reach out to people. You've got to surround yourself with people that can talk to you, can listen to what you have to say, that will support you. Because we do worry about the health of our employees, but we also need to worry about the mental health of our employees.
Yes, we do. And that goes back to why I really encourage everyone to connect. So whether it's a chamber that you feel it, you fit into that community, you're LGBT, you want to be around like-minded organizations, or you want to just support them. There's the African American Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, but all the Asian American Chamber, we're all doing virtual networking, or where opportunities to connect with people. And I've watched friendships blossom. People who have never met in person have met on we do a weekly coffee chat. And
sure, I've been on that.
Okay, yeah. So we're just coming together and we're just chatting, and it's totally unstructured for an hour. And I have watched people become good friends over that. And so there still is a way to make meaningful connection in this crazy time that we're in.
That's right. So here, coming to you from Uncle Jerry, connect. Don't do this thing alone. You can connect with people that can help your business. You can connect with people just to help your state of mind, because it's okay to not be okay right now. You don't have to do this alone. And if you want to reach out to everybody's business, you can email us a question, a concern, a topic, and we'll connect with you at hello@nationalec.org. So send your questions, send your requests, or just send your thoughts in. hello@nationalec.org. And if we get it, we'll address it here sometimes on the air. So we're going to be right back with Kellie Parkin, the CEO of the Orlando Pride Chamber, right after this. As we go through this year of the pandemic, many of us thought that would only be maybe a few weeks, maybe a month. But now that it's gone on for months, people are realizing that maybe we're not going to be doing business the way we used to. Maybe business has changed forever. Whole workforces have pivoted to working from home. Schools closed, businesses closed, live events canceled. COVID-19 has pretty much turned our daily lives upside down. Dealing with a global pandemic has also made us rethink how we do everything. Schooling our children to serving customers, it's difficult. Any kind of change is difficult. But when you add to that all the uncertainty that comes with an unpredictable virus, a virus that could be fatal, it's no wonder that folks are feeling a bit stressed these days. So if you are feeling stressed right now, it's okay. You're normal. What you need to know is that you're not alone. Most everybody today is feeling the stress of the situation. Maybe in different ways, maybe with different circumstances, but believe me, everyone has been affected. It's okay not to be okay right now. You are allowed to take time for you to regroup and to recharge. I think there are some aspects of what we've found from working remote that are good, that we've learned to use different technology. We've learned new ways to stay in contact with each other and with our clients. And I think even when things do get back to normal, whatever normal may be, that we'll find that some of these aspects of technology and video conferencing, online learning, all of those things will be carried forward into the new way of doing business. Remember, in times of chaos, there is always an opportunity. Welcome back. You're listening to a podcast from the National Entrepreneur Center entitled Everybody's Business. And I missed you. I'm glad you're back. We're talking with the CEO of the Orlando Pride Chamber, Kellie Parkin. So Kellie, let's get personal here. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town near Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ah.
Yeah. So my mom worked I was an airline kid. My mom worked for Eastern Airlines, and she's from the greater Tampa area. So I traveled a lot, specifically and especially to Central Florida. And I knew from an early age that I would make Florida my home.
Oh, that's a good thing to know when you're growing up. I grew up in Ohio. It was really cold. And one thing I knew is that someday I'm not going to be in the cold.
Seriously, I wanted sunshine and diversity. And so I found Florida. That's my home.
So what did you want to be when you grew up?
I love this question because I wanted to be all kinds of things. But I've been lucky enough to do several of them. I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a CEO. I wanted to be a photographer. And I've been able to do those. Of course, I also wanted to be an astronaut and a firefighter and a pilot. But there's still time, I think, for the pilot one. I might be able to learn how to do that.
You still have time. You still have time. It can be. If you, what is it? Fake it till you make it. Don't do that with the pilot thing.
No, I will not do that with yes, not a good idea.
What were your hobbies growing up?
I guess they're probably pretty much the same. Reading and traveling and learning. I'm such a nerd. I love to learn new things. And so like this time I took up painting. I'm terrible at it, but that was the thing I wanted to learn for myself during the pandemic is abstract painting.
Well, that's great. So you still do that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So do you have your work displayed?
Oh, no. I'm still learning how to do it. I think I'm about 6 months into, but it's been a lot of fun and mixed results, but that's okay. That's the fun thing about art is that it's whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be, there aren't set rules in art. So I really like that.
You're right. I took an art class back in college and actually it was a ceramics class. But everything that I tended to make, I had to put grooves in and call it an ashtray.
Those are useful too.
And the art teacher would come around and going, "Oh, Mr. Ross, another ashtray. Interesting." So I made a lot of ashtrays, and that was about the extent of my art training there. If you look back on your childhood, is there anything that you would have loved to do or anything that you decided you were going to do that you said, I'm going to do this all the way along, and here you are?
I think I have been an idealist my entire life. So I grew up telling myself I want to change the world, and I'm going to. And then, of course, as I have grown up and learned adulting, I just want to make a difference. I don't have to change the whole world. I just want to make a difference. And so that has taken me through many of my jobs. If I don't feel like I am truly helping or making a difference, then, it's time to move on and find where I can do that. And I feel like I have found my place now.
There are times that I say, I've been training all my life for this job.
Yes. And that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
And it pulls on so many different things that you look back and say, oh, that's why I was learning that.
Yes.
And then it all falls into place. So if you could talk to one person in history, who would that be and what would you talk about?
Oh my goodness. That is a really hard question. I'm not very good at.
I love to put people on the spot. That's my job.
Right? So in history, because if I think of people who are living, I want to talk to Kamala Harris. I want to ask her truly, I want to have a private conversation of how does this feel? Because I'm just so happy to have had that milestone met, I guess.
Sure.
But if we're gonna,
and it can still happen. You still have time.
there's still time for that one. But your question's more of like in history. A fun one off the top of my head. It'd be nice to have a conversation with Ray Bradbury and ask him, how did you know? So I don't know if I'm a huge reader. Bradbury's known for Fahrenheit
451.
But some of his other stories, all of his stories, they're so prophetic. There's so much future that we've actually come to. So that would be kind of fun to have that conversation.
Sure. I'm going to wrap up with a few rapid fire questions just to learn a little bit more about you. What's your favorite color?
Well, I'm told black isn't a color, so I guess blue.
or the lack of color. Blue, we'll take it. Favorite movie?
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Coffee or tea drinker?
Coffee.
Would you say you are an extrovert or an introvert?
I would say I'm both. I am one big contradiction.
I'm stealing that. I'm going to describe myself as that because that's perfect. What's your favorite meal? If you were going to have a meal.
Surf and turf with lobster.
I'm hungry now. What's your favorite cartoon character?
The Minions.
What do you do when you're not working?
I like to create, I like to learn, and sometimes I like to do absolutely nothing. I'm a big fan of naps.
Me too. I've become a big fan of naps. Would you like to give a speech or plan the event?
Either. Whatever you need me to do, Jerry, I am there.
I know that. And now I have it on tape. So I'll just play that back to you. Would you rather play an instrument, or do you play an instrument, or would you rather sing?
Oh my gosh. I would love to be able to do either. I play the radio. That's my talent. I can play other people's music really well.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to play the radio too, because that's about the extent of my musical talent. Hey, thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you for what you do.
Fun.
Yeah, I told you it would be fun. Thanks for what you do in the community, and we appreciate you being a partner here at the National Entrepreneur Center. So once again, how can people connect with you?
Info at thepridechamber.org or just our website, thepridechamber.org.
You've heard it. CEO of the Orlando Pride Chamber, Kellie Parkin. We'll be right back with some closing thoughts.
If you have a business question that you would like to have answered, or if you would like to suggest a topic for discussion, we would love to hear from you. Just email Jerry at hello@nationalec.org. That is hello@nationalec.org.
What a wonderful, inspiring conversation this morning.
Yeah, Kellie's really lively.
She is. And I think they came aboard as a partner right before the pandemic. And so while I had known her and we had been meeting, as soon as they joined, we closed to the public. And so we haven't had an opportunity really to share her with the partners here.
We've been holding her hostage.
Yeah. Well, and that was why it was so good to see her on virtually today. But I think she's going to be a great addition here. And we've already learned a lot from her.
100%. Her fake it till you make it. Feel it.
You're feeling that, huh?
I feel that one.
Well, as a podcast star now, you've made it.
I've made star.
That's right. You are a star, and in my book, anyway.
Okay. That's
and so
still good.
What you'll have to do is move on to your next challenge that you can fake. I'm faking being a celebrity right now. I know, more coffee.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of what I could fake now.
You've already achieved it. You're a star. You're an internet sensation. But having the opportunity to just be here and connect with great people like Kellie, have those kind of conversations. I think I continue to learn, and I continue to learn from the people that we interview, and their perspectives, I think, give us an opportunity to set those new goals.
No, 100%. Just hearing their stories, what they've overcome. When Kellie described the name change and everything like that, like it was they didn't really know what it was at first. I mean, those are things that stick with people and, motivate them to accomplish what they want.
Sure. And lots of businesses go through that where they,
Right.
they say, we really need to define who we are and what we do and how to move that forward. And they're doing that in a way that has really had a great impact here on our community.
I think so too.
And so it was great hearing her story. And you out there listening to this today, you have a story too. You can share that with us at hello@nationalec.org. Ask your questions, connect with us because we're here for you. We're here for those small businesses and entrepreneurs anywhere within the sound of our voice. If we can help you, that's what we want to do. But we can't do that unless we hear from you. hello@nationalec.org. And that's all for today. See you next time.